Welcome to Encounter Wargaming. I'm Jay, and today we're going to be taking a look at a little campaign book for 2nd edition, Storm of Vengeance. Alright, so today we're continuing our look through 2nd edition, and this time we're going to look at one of the campaign books they came out with. In fact, now that I think of it, it's the only one I have in my possession. So, it looks like it's Dark Angel heavy, which is interesting, because I believe this specific campaign was designed for Dark Angels versus Orcs. Of course, you can use whatever factions you use. You could probably supplement it and change it as you wanted, but it's basically supposed to be Space Marines versus Orcs. So let's take a look inside. So, first of all, I guess I tucked these in here. It's got a little manual for each player for this Storm of Vengeance, which outlines all of, I see here, yep, Space Marine briefing. You got all the scenarios, what they got to do for each specific player, and then of course we've got the Orc battle briefing, and the same scenarios. Just, here, I'll take a look at one of them just to show you guys. Dark Cathedral, obviously, it's giving you different victory conditions based on which side. Yep, librarians are limited, whereas for the Orcs you can take no Psychers at all. No Space Marine squad can be less than 10 models. Minimum squad size does not count for Orcs, Gretchen, or Commandos. See? So they've basically just given you different sides of the same coin, and those books are basically to be kept with the players as they play through this campaign. But we're not going to look at those in detail because they're not as entertaining as the actual core book itself. There you go, explaining scenarios. So again, I won't go through all this stuff with you guys, all the little fine details. We're just going to look at this awesome book and its awesomeness. Spirit of the Emperor, or Gork and Mork. I don't know which scale you're on. Epic 40k, the list here. Scenario pack is based on the Warhammer 40,000 game system. Players of Epic 40k may like to use epic armies for the larger battles. Using the scenarios to describe rules in Epic 40,000, it is possible for players to recreate the Warhammer 40,000 battlers on a smaller scale with only a little adjustment. Again, this is left up to the players to decide for themselves. Interesting. So these scenarios can be used for either Warhammer or Warhammer 40,000 Epic. Definitely interesting. So we've got the Piscina campaign on Piscina 4, the Piscina system. Interesting. We've got a nice little map campaign going on there. Right, Wagazkal coming into the city. Cool. Imperial reinforcements looking to intercept. Nazdrag also breaking through. Cool. Excuse me. Imperial Defenders, Gazkal's plan. Here we go. So now we've got an actual timeline, very similar to what they do in current codices, where they give you the dates and stuff like that. But obviously, in this case, it's going to be a 16-day campaign. Yeah, there you go. So each scenario given in this book and in those two smaller books, same scenarios, are divided into each one of these stages in the campaign timeline. And so it basically just gives you a framework as to what exactly is going on storyline-wise throughout the campaign. Super cool. And there you go. So we've got the scenarios actually outlined for everybody to take a look at. So these books here, these smaller books, like I say, so here it's got the Space Marine deployment and the Orc deployment. So just opening up the Orc one, let's take a look at scenario 1 here. Oh, there we go. Special rules, strategy cards, power plants. Yeah, so then it's giving you here also an example for historical forces, it says. This is the forces that they've used, I guess, to do this campaign. It's giving you 2 actual army lists, how they divided up their forces based on the criteria given in the scenario, and then the aftermath. So I guess that's just an example to show you guys. As you can see here, the map that they've shown would more or less just use those cardboard dealies that you got in the starter set, and then of course the bunker there. And the next one Dark Cathedral, scenario outline, Dark Angel's Basilica, part of the city wall, built impressive building. Okay, so yeah, so just setting you up for Dark Angels having to defend against orcs, and as you can see here, there are. Actually, let me just check that. I want to say there are spots where the orcs are coming in, but I do not think so. Damage walls, piles of rubble. Yep, entrance points, doorways in the holes in the wall. Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, they're literally entering through these doorways, the attacking army that is. And once again, giving you an example. This is the army that the storyline uses, this is the orc army that the storyline uses, and this is the aftermath. Again, expanding on the basic Warhammer 40,000 starter set, Space Marines vs. Orcs. Again, you could probably simulate with other armies, like replace, you know, the Orc player could be a Tyranid player, the Dark Angel player could be a Eldar player, whatever you want to do. I guess you can change it up how you wish. Basically, we're just looking at these little scenarios here, just to sort of spice up our games, our Warhammer 40,000, and it's basically a campaign that's already been done for you. Now, a lot of people back in these times, especially me and my friends, we used to invent our own little campaigns and make our own little scenarios. And that's super fun, but for those of you who don't want to take the time to do that, it's great that they came out with books like this so that you can just kind of follow along. And of course, you don't have to use these lists that they give you here for historical forces, as much as this is supposed to be some kind of reenactment of something that happened in the Warhammer 40,000 fluff. You're free, of course, to make it your own, right? As you are with anything in this game. Personalize it, make it yours. Scenario 5, there we go. So it looks like it relies more on recon and scouts, which is definitely interesting. Not to mention also who would want to follow the historical forces points. You know what I mean? It's like, literally I would have to assemble an army of these exact models. And most people, even in this edition, assembled their armies as they please. Especially with the percentages situation with constructing armies. There's a lot more freedom, I guess, as to what exactly you could put in your army, as opposed to having to fulfill certain battlefield roles, like the Force Org Charts and the detachments we have nowadays. Back in these editions, people liked to just kind of take whatever they wanted, especially with the open rules with allies and stuff like that. Made things a little more personalizable. And the final scenario, just giving you 6 nice, quick scenarios to play through your nice campaign. I love how they give you these campaign maps and how the terrain should potentially be set up for the scenario. But of course, you don't have to follow it exactly. You can do whatever the heck you want. It's nice that they came out with these nice little books. Oh, there was 7 scenarios. I thought it was only a 6 scenario campaign. I guess I was wrong. Looks like we've got 7. We've got 8. The battle at Barak Gorge. Cool. Recon report. Space Marine deployment. Historical forces. Scenario 8 is a counterattack. Striking back. Super cool. Death by moonlight. There you go. So there's 9 scenarios. I think that should probably be it. Yeah, it is. So there was 9 scenarios, so that's cool. So you guys could, you know, back in the day, we could actually sit down over the course of 9 weekends and go through each battle one at a time, playing through the campaign. I mean, I guess you could do all 9 in one day, but considering how long it took us to play Warhammer 40k back then, like, not only were we kids, we were 11-year-olds and didn't have a full grasp of the rules yet, so it took us super long to play games. But also, the rules were obviously a lot more granular in this edition. And so, things took a while, and you had to refer to the book a lot. And, you know, it's not like nowadays where there's literally only 8 pages of rules, and the rest is just based on your data slate. So it's interesting that they've given you here the rules for the special characters. I guess that's in case you purchase this as an expansion to your starter and haven't actually bought the codices for their respective factions yet. And now that I think of it, you would need those anyway for all the orc rules and stuff like that. Space Marines separate units other than what came in the starter set. All they give you rules for in the starter set was stuff that was in the starter set. With the exception, of course, the Codex Imperialis gave you rules for everything in the game, but blah 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 blah. I'm going on and on. Simply, they've just included the special characters that play in this campaign, I suppose. So you've got Gazkul, you should have Nazdrag as well, I believe, in the next page. Yep, Nazdrag Urdgrub. And then for the Dark Angel special characters, they've actually invented a couple. Well, Belial, obviously, is the Master of the Deathwing. That's not an invention. But I've never heard of Sergeant Nauman. Interesting, a special character sergeant you can attach to one of your units, I guess. So maybe that's why they've included them here, because they're not actually listed in the codices. These two Orc guys are in the Orc Codex. This guy is definitely not in the Angels of Death Codex that we looked at a couple of weeks ago. I'll throw a link up there for the Angels of Death if you guys already haven't been through it. But there she is. Cool, showing you some cool terrain things you can do. See, once again, back in this edition, Games Workshop really encouraged scratch building stuff. Less so nowadays that they actually sell prefabricated terrain kits. Like, look, this is just simple pebbles, all glued together. No problem. Now, they used to sell the crates and barrels and stuff like that, but there's no reason, like here, you can't take a bunch of random tubes, plastic tubes and stuff, and there you go. It's perfectly good use for your sprue. As tank traps. It says log stacks here, but those are definitely pipe stacks. Anyway. Razor wire, how to make your own razor wire, super cool. And just showing you how to sort of, and finally at the end of the book, they're just kind of showing you how to lace all these things together. Obviously, you have to roll for your characters between games, because that's going to give them experience, or in this case, you know, see if they get to come back in the next game, or if they're dead, like they're really dead, and never get to come back, because of course each game is going to affect the next game. And it makes perfect sense that characters don't get to regenerate themselves. They might be able to find some more orcs to fill the ranks, but they're not going to find another Nazdrag, right? To just pull them out of their ass and, hey, he's back. But there's always the chance they might recover from his wounds and whatever, and so that's why you roll on these tables, which is super cool. And here you go, you got rules for other armies. Nazdrag's War, yeah, we're going on about campaign system here. But like I said here, you can easily substitute with our armies, so... Unlike orcs, chaoses have limited access to psychers. Sorcerer may be on hand, should never be more than one psyker in a chaos army. Possibly substitute Karn the Betrayer, Huron Blackheart, or Fabius Spell for one of the warlords, but not more than one. Chaos Lord to lead the contingent. Abaddon the Spoil is another option. Yeah, see, so it's just giving you ideas on how to substitute the armies in play here. Imperial Guard defenders instead of Space Marine defenders, Chaos invaders instead of Orc invaders. We're making sense here, right? So feel free to change it up however you feel. And then of course here they've actually given you the directions for the cardboard kit. So that's interesting. I wonder if this cardboard terrain piece, which I've seen in other books, came with this book originally. Not entirely sure of that. But it's definitely one that they sold on its own, and it's just really cool to look at these diagrams actually, because this gives me super cool ideas for building my own terrain. Neat. And just some cool color pages of the Dark Angels, straight out of the Angels of Death book. We actually seen this page before in the Angels of Death book, but regardless, that is the short and sweet Storm of Vengeance campaign book. Like I say, I've got these two books here, and I believe the only thing that makes them different from what we've seen in the core book is just that they gear the actual scenario. Yeah, it's simply just the 9 scenarios summarized with only the orc side of things given to you in this book, whereas this one is only the Space Marine side of things given to you in this book. So both of you can still be doing the same core campaign, but from very different angles. So the Orc player would have this in front of them, the Space Marine player would have this in front of them, and they can basically just know what they need to know to play the game without having to read through all the stuff for the other guy. As handy as it would be to know what your opponent's doing, that's why, I guess, you have this book. So I hope you guys enjoyed that look at the Storm of Vengeance campaign for 2nd edition. Sorry I didn't get into more details for you guys, but to read through all of this would have just been exhausting. I just really wanted to show you guys this awesome little supplement for the second edition of the Warhammer 40,000 rules. Next week we're going to be taking our final look at second edition, at least the last book that I have in my possession, and that's the Sisters of Battle. So I believe this was the most recent, I should say the very last publication in second edition in chronological order. So that'll give us a chance to start moving on to third, which is wicked awesome. So that's the first time we'll really see the rules change quite drastically from one edition to another. So Sisters of Battle, there you go. They were around in second edition, even if it was for a brief time before third edition came out. So next week we will be taking a look all the way through their codex. And I hope you guys enjoy this series. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a lot of fun for me doing this stuff because it's just great looking back at all this second edition stuff. It brings up so many good feelings inside, nice warm fuzzy feelings. And I hope for those of you who haven't been in the game as long as these books are old, it gives you a chance to sort of see where this stuff comes from and how it's evolved over time to get to where we are today. So that being said, you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification next to the subscribe button so that you know when more of these videos are coming out, as well as all of our other videos. We do all kinds of stuff, guys. We've got bat reps, we've got terrain tutorials, we've got bat reps for multiple different game systems, as well as a podcast, and all of that. So everything under the sun. So if you enjoy all of that stuff, please hit the subscribe button and you will get notified whenever that stuff comes out. Also, if you guys really enjoy all of that stuff I just listed, as well as these videos right here, check out the description below and read through our Patreon campaign. It'll only take you a second, and we've got some goals outlined there that we would love your help to meet. Otherwise, we'll see you at our next event.
Like a monkey in a rocket on his way back home. Okay.